right, in three, two, one. What's going on, folks? Your guy Tommy Gann here, TG, for Ice Cold Sports, America's Sports Show. Happy to be back with you, as always, with my good friend, mi amigo, our long lost prodigal son, Mr. Zachary Lyons, Lions and Tigers and Bears. Oh my, how's it going, Zachariah?
Good, TG. Have you heard we're on Taylor Swift watch in Denver this weekend?
Oh boy, that's cool.
I've just my sister just alerted me. Shout out Abby.
Are you going to the
So
game?
I'm unsure at the moment. So
Mr. Steal Your Girl, Zach Lyons, going to go in there and swoop away Taylor from the clutches of Travis Kelsey.
watch out, Mister Kelsey.
You'll climb into that popcorn box and with her.
Uh oh yeah. Oh fuck, I forgot about that from the Jets game.
That's right.
Um, Yeah, my first of all, I would never pull such a move on Mr. Kelsey because I love my girlfriend very much. Shout out Paige, but she's also a big time Swifty. Uh, you know, she follows all the rumors and everything, and she's 100% believer that she left that she was escorted out of the stadium in the popcorn bucket
That's
that
wild.
day.
That's wild. In any case, folks, let's just get started up. Thursday night football. Buccaneers lose to the Bills, 24-18. Won't spend too much time on this game. Uh, you yourself said that it looked like it was over a lot quicker than it was. It was over. It seemed over, and then the Bucks seemed to kind of go in there and make it a close game, but it wasn't really much overall. I guess it was a nice bounce back a little bit for the Bills after a trash game against the Pats, and then for the Buccaneers, a little bit of a coming back to earth kind of moment. Would you agree?
Yeah, I guess the moment that stood out to me, Josh Allen scoring the touchdown, and then they say he can't like raise his arm to give high fives afterwards. And we've got the other Allen warming up on the sideline. So you thought, I don't know, the Bucks might hang in there and make it competitive there for a sec, but um, just no life in that offense, and Buffalo looks still pretty good on defense. So
Yeah.
um, I guess the story going forward for me is just kind of like it was last year. What's Josh Allen's health, his availability,
Yeah.
um, looking like.
I think he'll probably play unless he can't, unless he physically can't, he's going to be out there on the field. Obviously, that's a lot of quarterbacks, but he's going to be fighting pretty hard to stay on, even past, what would be acceptable for some guys. So I think his availability, maybe for a game or two, might be in question, but I think he'll be all around. We'll see how banged up he is around playoff time. Um, Moving on a little bit, NBA season kicked off. Your Denver Nuggets, your defending NBA champions, defeated the LA Lakers in their first game of the season. Pretty exciting stuff. Let's talk a little bit about the NBA this year. Are you expecting the uh, Nuggets to repeat?
If the Lakers and the Suns are the only true challengers in the West,
The
um,
true challengers is a strong word.
yeah, that well, it like quote unquote challengers. Like if that's the Nuggets competition in the West, then it's all barring injury and how healthy these teams stay. But I feel very confident in the Nuggets' ability to defeat both of those teams in a 7 game series at this point. So, I could see them repeating in the West, but the Celtics looked awesome the other night too.
That's true. That's true. Even without Marcus Smart, it seems like the Celtics
Oh, that's
probably,
that's an upgrade.
well,
No,
yeah,
Marcus Smart is an upgrade.
I think a lot of Boston people probably wouldn't be happy with you saying that, but you're right. You might be right. Um, Do you see the Bucks though as being that team in the East now that they have Lillard, or is it somewhat like a reverse Ewing effect where you're going to have things get gummed up in the works more, or is it going to get better?
I think if the Bucks can defend, because I think people sleep on Drew Holiday a lot, and I know, the Dame trade is definitely an awesome, awesome upgrade on offense, but having, Drew's ability to, lock up any team's top player, top guard, top wing. I think that's undervalued in what was lost as a part of that. And I thought that was really great business by the Celtics bringing him in as well. So, um, I if the Bucks can defend, I think they're right there. But who knows? They might just run everyone out of the gym and score 140 points every night. I don't know.
Now, obviously, with the big story, one of the biggest storylines, other than the Nuggets for the start of the season, was Victor Wembanyama coming in. I know during the summer there was some speculation he didn't look that great in the summer league, but then he comes right back out and just dominates right away. Would you say that he is almost certainly just probably going to be the runaway rookie of the year? He looks incredible.
Yeah, he's just so freakishly long, and he's just in every single play, right? Like, what did he already have, like three or four blocks last night, I think.
Just incredible.
I think the impact, even if he's not scoring, he's going to be making an impact. And I think, I think in this day and age, voters are smart enough to see that sort of thing. So yeah, I would take him versus the field probably.
And then, of course, I don't think it's unfair to say Jokic has to be the far and away favorite. He should have won MVP last year. I think a lot of people would agree with that. Uh, would you say that that's the case, right?
Yeah, I would say, I would think it's him versus the field right now. I think the only other player in the league that could maybe chip away at his crown is Giannis.
Yeah,
Um,
not
and
Embiid for a second straight year.
I, I is I don't like, congrats to Embiid. I think he absolutely deserved his MVP last year, but is he going to have the team and the support around him to support another campaign like that? Um,
Probably
I don't
not.
know. I think it's like, I don't know what you think, but I think for me it's the Nuggets, the Bucks, or the Celtics this year, and I think it's just like whichever of those, you know, it could just be any of those two-man duos holding the belt at the end of the title belt at the end of the season.
Meanwhile, and talking about no support for Embiid, uh, the Harden situation has just been ridiculous so far. I mean, first he goes out and trashes the GM, um, and which I thought was just disgusting. And
Who
then
he used to say was a good, he used to claim he was a good friend too. Like him and Daryl Morey used to be boys.
on top of that, he refuses to show up because he had basically said he wasn't going to play for Morey, and now he does show up, but the Sixers apparently don't want him. They stopped him from getting on the plane for their road trip. At least that's what the report is right now.
Yeah, I just don't even know what to do with him at this
Disaster.
point, because
Unbelievable.
can you dump him for like a second round pick or something? Like,
Is there a more toxic
um,
player in the NBA? Kyrie, I guess, but Kyrie seems to care seems to have some. I don't know.
yeah, it him Harden and Kyrie both just haven't had a normal NBA season in
Long time.
how many years now? Yeah, those guys just blow up every situation it seems that they're in. So I don't know. I think you move on from him if you're the Sixers, but then where does that leave you? You know, in the back court because he like despite where they're at, he won them a couple playoff games last year too. So it's a weird spot to be in if you're them.
Agreed. Let's move on from let's final saying who's your prediction as your finals and then your champion. I'm going to say personally, I'll say Bucks Nuggets, and I'll say the Nuggets take it home.
I differ from you in the East. I'm going to say Bucks Celtics, but the Nuggets repeat.
Nuggets Celtics.
Yeah, Nuggets Celtics.
All right, and then Jokic MVP.
Um, yeah, Kristaps Porzingis. No, just kidding. Uh, I think this could be finally the year that Luka does it. Um,
Really?
I think it's just a matter of I think Jokic because the MVP we've seen in past years is never necessarily like it's not always the best player in the league at a given time. It's just
Sure.
we
Sure.
voters kind of wear out on guys, and I think it's just a matter of when with Luca.
That's fair. That's sort of what we could see from Embiid last year. Moving on, World Series. So Diamondbacks Rangers, one of the most improbable World Series we've seen in a long, long time, especially because Diamondbacks and Rangers both won 2 games on the road to be able to force this series, which is pretty incredible. Um, Obviously, I think the Rangers are more likely to make this series than the Diamondbacks because the Diamondbacks they fell off really hard in the second half of the season, and now they're here. It'll be an interesting matchup because I feel like I think on paper, clearly, it's the Rangers as the better team, especially at least hitting wise. I think their rotations and their pitching staffs are overall pretty comparable. Um, at the same time, however, it just feels like there's a team of destiny factor to the Diamondbacks. I mean, you face off against teams like the Brewers and the Dodgers who look like they're going to overpower you, and the Phillies who look to be so much more talented. And each time they are up to the task. What is your thoughts going into this series?
Um, well, I think I don't know. Did you see depending on where you look at odds and everything, this is going to be depending on who wins, this is going to be the longest shot World Series winner based on preseason odds since like 2003.
Sheesh.
Yeah. Yeah, it's crazy. And I think we are going to see runs. I think we're going to see a lot of runs in this series. Both of these lineups can mash. I think both of these lineups or both of these rotations have good starters on their best day, but we've also seen Gallon get blown up this postseason. We've seen Scherzer get blown up this postseason. Um, we don't even know how healthy he is, how healthy John Gray is. So, I expect a high flying, lots of balls in the seats in this World Series. Um, but I really would have liked to see the Braves and perhaps the Orioles here. Just there's
What?
the baseball postseason just doesn't really reward the best teams
So I think that's just
anymore.
so dumb. It's so dumb. What are you talking about? If you're not that great of a team, if a week like off makes you like completely just forget how to play baseball, give me a break.
We've seen so many examples now of it like hitters say they would rather um they would rather play 20 something games in a row without a day off than take 5 days off just in terms of their timing and seeing the ball and hitting the ball. I don't know. I think it's worth another look because we've um we I wouldn't say the best baseball teams have been winning the World Series in recent years relative to regular season results. I don't think that's a controversial opinion.
Yeah, but a lot of these teams weren't making it that far anyway. I mean, the Dodgers, even before this, were losers.
Well, I guess it just depends like what you think you want the playoffs to be, right? Because like March, the best team rarely wins the NCAA basketball tournament. Is it,
Well, everyone plays the
you
same
know,
number. Most of the teams play the same number of games in that, so that's not really comparable technically. Um, let's move on to just talking about the series, just specifically this series. I don't. I gotta really lean heavy with the Rangers here. I understand maybe that will bite me in the ass because of how strong this Diamondbacks team has been, but this just I feel like they're gonna get mashed to death. You know, they're just gonna get mashed to death. I think we get go 6 games, but I think they're gonna get mashed to death.
the Rangers are?
No, the Diamondbacks are gonna get mashed to
Oh,
death by the
oh,
Rangers.
yeah. I don't know. I don't sleep on that Diamondbacks lineup, TG. They have some length with Christian Walker hitting further down in the lineup. I know he's had a rough series. He's had a rough go of it earlier in these playoffs, but he's starting to come around. Um, Gurriel's had a great season. I think the D-backs need to get back to what they kind of did. What made them successful earlier this year is just wreaking havoc on the base paths with Carroll and all of their strong base runners. Um, I think that's key to success for them. Corbin Carroll just got his first stolen base in the entire playoffs, and I think it was like Game 6 of the NLCS, which seemed odd relative to the way they played all year.
Do you think that Carroll is a superstar in the making? He's going to be a guy that they're going to be leaning on for years to come in Arizona?
I think he's already there. He put up five something or more WAR already this year. Um, I don't think it's a stretch to say he's got an MVP in his future.
That's fair. That's fair. Let's just talk about what your prediction is for this series.
Um, it feels like it honestly just feels like a coin flip to me with how these teams are playing. Give me Diamondbacks in 7.
Wow, snakes alive.
Snakes V alive.
That's
Let's
the ballsy take. I'll give you that.
let's hear it,
Um,
TG.
I'm saying Rangers in 6. How about that?
Oh, okay. He
Rangers
thinks
in
he thinks
6.
they're gonna mash.
Yeah, I think they're going to mash. That I gotta say, just incredible performance at Houston last game. The way how they just buried them, I thought was just a thing of beauty. Really.
Yeah, yeah.
Um.
Adolis Garcia hotter than the surface of the sun right now.
Hmm. I'll say Garcia for MVP, World Series MVP as well. Um. Let's move on to the weekend in football. We'll start with college football. We're gonna do this quick fashion, quick succession, 3 minutes each. All right, we'll start. Oregon at Utah, number 8 Oregon at number 13 Utah. Oregon is a 6.5 point favorite. I lean heavy Oregon here because I think Oregon might be a wagon, might truly be a wagon. They might be. Maybe it's very biased because I saw Colorado get absolutely crunched by them, but man,
Yeah, I agree. A couple different plays go their way in that Washington game, and they're still undefeated right now. It really still comes down to those two teams in the Pac-12. But doesn't this feel like another like perfect opportunity kind of for the Pac-12 to just completely implode and eat itself?
yeah, that's true. But I think Utah, this is a big letdown spot. I think Utah kind of lets down a little bit against Oregon in this spot specifically after putting up, obviously being able to win a big game against USC. But I mean, USC, I think, will get crushed by Oregon as well. So that's my prediction. What are you saying?
Oh yeah, or Oregon rolls USC easily for me.
You mean Utah?
I, or sorry, sorry, yeah. I still think Oregon rolls easily over Utah. Utah's usually like the Grim Reaper in terms of whenever you think they're dead,
Sure.
they come back around. But I just don't think they have a quarterback, man.
Next, Georgia, Florida, the world's largest outdoor cocktail party. Whoo, boy. As you know, I am a Gator. I attended the University of Florida for my master's. No big deal. The right now Florida 14 and a half point underdog in this game. I love the Gators. Love, love, love. And I'll tell you why. Florida has looked better than people thought they would this season. I thought it was a ballsy win at South Carolina. I think that Graham Mertz might be the best quarterback in the SEC. Name a better quarterback.
I just do talk your shit, do your bit. I'm not gonna.
What? You telling me that might not be true?
Yeah, TG. I'm telling you, it might not be true,
I
but
think it might be true. I think it might be true. Um, but in any case, I think he's been much better than I thought. Haters like you thought that he was going to be. I think the Gators keep this one close. Maybe they don't win, but they keep it close. I think Georgia is vulnerable, especially without Brock Bowers. I'm also not believe in Carson Beck.
yeah, I'm with you in terms of back. I how many points does it take to win this game? Is it in the 20s maybe?
Probably first
Um,
team to 30.
yeah. We've seen, back look inexperienced at times. I think Graham Mertz has kind of come around a little bit this year, but he's a guy that has turnovers in him at any given
Whoa, whoa,
moment.
whoa, whoa. He only has 2 turnover-worthy plays this entire season. Did you know that?
So Mr. Traditional Stat, Mr. Grit and Grind is pulling out the PFF advanced stats on me now.
Oh, two. I'm just telling you, there's only two turnover-worthy plays. I think that's a relevant thing to say. Just
Yeah, I
saying.
mean that's definitely that's definitely a serious turnaround from where he was at Wisconsin because um watched a lot of his games being close to that situation, let's say. So yeah,
We
I
both
think
think
that
that it's going to be close. That
yeah,
fair?
correct. Yeah, I think Florida keeps it competitive, but I think Georgia still wins.
Next, Duke at Louisville. This feels like the letdown bowl after these two teams had such strong starts to the year, and then they kind of had some major letdowns. Um, I lean. I think Duke probably has a nice bounce back here after what was a tough loss at Florida State against Florida State. Um, I don't think Louisville is there yet. I think that Duke has those guys, has more of the skill people yet. I think Louisville is still a work in progress. I like Louisville.
Does Duke have their quarterback? Is Riley Leonard still hurt here? Or is he going to play? Do we know?
That's a good
That's
question. That's a
that's a,
very
that's
good
a
question.
I mean I'm still with you. I think
I
they're
believe he plays. I believe he's playing.
yeah. I think their backup is still played a solid amount of snaps for them, and they've done they've at least stayed afloat there. So yeah, I'm with you. I think Duke has the dudes. Um, I
You know
think
what?
I think they roll
I'm
here.
doing the reverse, the classic reverse. I'm going Louisville.
Oh my goodness. Oh
Riley
my good.
Leonard is not. He is not for sure in this game. And Duke, the way how they ended up going in that last game against Florida State has to rip your heart out. I guess, at Louisville, I'll go Louisville. How about that?
All right, sure. Flip
Think
flip
that's fair.
flop flip flop alert.
Big flip flop guy.
You just Lee Corso'd me. You just threw that mascot
Not
head off
so
the
fast,
stage and
my
put
friend.
yeah. Yeah.
Finally, CU at UCLA. CU 17.5 point underdog. I gotta tell you, I'm loving the Buffs this week. I'm loving the Buffs. Listen, I get it. Last game was maybe the most disappointing game I have ever watched in the history of football. But I don't think
But
UCLA is that good. I don't think they're that good. And I think Colorado has something to prove. I think this is a galvanizing moment where they bring it all together. Big crowd, Rose Bowl. Give me the Buffs to win.
oh man, we're going Buffs. We're going
Buffs to
out
win.
right here.
Buffs to win.
I The X factor for me here is just like can the Buffs protect, right? Like they protected Shador at TCU, at Arizona State.
I think what makes the difference is that Shador is if he can be mobile. I think that makes the difference.
Yeah, if he can, if he can get you some extra yards on the ground, if he can step up in the pocket, buy himself an extra second, because based on what we've seen, I think the answer is going to be no. CU is not going to protect. So
I'd say it's been better since the USC game.
I would like to see some better protection, and I would like to see Shador getting the ball out of his hands a little bit faster.
So you're a hater. You don't believe. He's not a believer, folks.
I think CU fights valiantly and covers here, and covers for the Buffs backers in Vegas, but
Whatever.
no, I think they lose outright here. I'm sorry, TJ.
Disgusting.
Yeah.
Moving on. Jags. We're going to the NFL. Jags at Steelers. Steelers, I feel like have been kind of surprising this year. I really have had lower expectations for them. They've played well, relatively speaking. And I think the Jags have been a little bit stuck in second gear. I mean, they've been winning enough, but you'd expect with the kind of talent they have around that Trevor Lawrence would be a little more high flying, and he hasn't been, at least not so far.
Yeah, I think it's taken a little time for the connection to Ridley to get going. And the same time we're seeing
the amount of moaning about Ridley, like from fantasy owners, is so ridiculous. Give me a break.
Yeah, I'm struggling with that in one league, but I made some other good picks elsewhere, so I guess it's not the end of the world, but I thought I was one who thought Kenny Pickett would be kind of in a different, better place this year. I think he's still he's kind of proven he's still good for one just like awesome game-changing throw every game, but what happens kind of between the start of the game and that is anyone's guess. So I think the Steelers have a puncher's chance here, but I lean Jags.
I lean Jags as well. I think that it might be I think the Jags might win, but might win big. I think this might be one of those moments where the Jags put things together, and then the Pittsburgh is kind of looking at each other like, "What the hell is going on here?" I think it's much more talented team, but a matchup between two teams where I feel like their records don't reflect how much better one team is than the other. So I think the Jags kind of pull away.
Right.
Pats at Finns. I don't know what to make of this Patriots team. I really don't. A couple of games they were in it to win it with some tough opponents, and they've fallen so short. And then they get destroyed by Dallas, and then they win against the Bills. I can't make heads or tails of this team. Not really. And then everyone one moment it looked like the Dolphins were like Super Bowl bound. The next moment they're losing to the Eagles and they're losing to the Bills, and both these teams have me just spinning and reeling around. That said, I think I'm going with Dolphins.
Yeah, I'm with you, TG. I think this is the battle of the potentially the fastest team in the NFL versus the slowest team in the NFL. Um, the Dolphins, I think they'll we Tyreek Hill limping a little bit last week. I think we'll start to see Jalen Waddle get a little bit more involved. They run the hell out of the ball too, so I lean Dolphins heavy here.
Yeah, it was close last time these two teams played, so that makes me think that this will be close again. But I mean, I guess in Miami with that, the home field advantage they have there, which I do love. They put the away team on the sunny side to drain them out.
Right? Yeah,
And
yeah,
I
because
feel
it's
like
so damn hot.
the Pats always have some trouble down there. So I'll go with I'll go with the Dolphins to win by like 2 scores, I think.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah, I think that's fair.
Cincinnati at the Niners. Again, Cincinnati can't get out of first gear, it feels like. Another team that, like the Jags, have not been able to get flying. Cincinnati feels like haven't been able to get going really at all for the most part. They've avoided massive disaster, but it really hasn't been incredible. And then the Niners have hit a rough patch the last couple of games. They've lost 2 in a row. They're still without Debo Samuel, if I'm correct.
Yeah, yeah, you're right.
And how is McCaffrey really? McCaffrey seems to have lost a step, at least for the moment. Eh, I think this game ends up being extraordinarily close. I won't be surprised if Cincinnati wins.
Yeah, the Cincinnati, I think, is all tied. I think a lot of it's tied to Burrow and his health because it really limits a lot of what they can do on offense. They run really everything out of the shotgun, which doesn't, it limits your run game a lot.
I know you're not a
Um,
believer in Purdy at all, but do you think that makes a big difference in this game? Do you believe Are you bigger believer in Sam Darnold than you are in Brock Purdy?
I don't know that I'm necessarily a big believer in either. I just think that offense is so quarterback proof that it doesn't really matter.
Well, you say that, but they've had a couple tough games here with Purdy, and people have been turning on Purdy. Um,
Oh, it's almost like I was right about
no,
him.
I'm not saying you're right about him quite yet, because a couple games the quarterback does not make. Um, but I don't believe in Darnold either. To be honest with you, he's one of those guys that everyone tried to convince me he was going to be something in Carolina, and he wasn't. I knew, no, not to brag, I knew by that first season that Allen was the better quarterback than him after that rookie season, despite what people were trying to say. Um, it, it, it I am not a believer in him. I think the Bengals make it so that way the Niners lose 3 in a row, which I believe before the season people thought was impossible.
I think the Niners defense is going to give a hobbled Joe Burrow hell in this game. It could be ugly. It could be like I don't know,
Really?
17-13 kind of deal. But yeah, I think the Niners win here.
Okay, that's fair. That makes sense. But still, yeah. Um, Finally, Chiefs at the Donkeys. Chiefs at
Do we
Broncos.
do we have to talk about
Yes,
this?
we do. We do because
Do
you
we
brought it
have to
up
do this?
before. You brought it up before. I mean, it was
I
relatively
brought up
close last time these two teams played. Can you say that? Surprisingly close.
I suppose you could. I suppose you could. I think it was within one score.
Exactly.
I hate that we already have to run this back like 2 or 3 weeks later, or however long ago that Thursday night game was. Um, I very much dislike a lot of members of this Broncos
Gun
offense,
to head,
and
would you rather be in the position of the Chicago Bears or the Denver Broncos right now?
the Bears because they could somehow wind up with the first two overall, like the first two picks in the draft.
Yeah, true.
And they don't have to pay Russell Wilson.
Yeah, also true. At least you don't have to pay the money. You don't have the guaranteed money that Deshaun Watson's going to might cost the Browns, as he's been just been I don't know where he's just been basically off in his own world. But do you think it all maybe things start to click a little bit? Do you think the Broncos defense gives them a little bit of trouble? They find at home. I mean, the last time it was close, it was at the Chiefs. Maybe the Broncos keep it a little close. You need to go to the game. I think that's the solution here.
Um, well, I mean, what's the measuring stick for the Broncos defense? Because like everyone said they played pretty well last week, but like the Packers blow.
Packers do blow.
So
I was debating putting the Packers on here, but the
um,
Packers blow.
yeah, like Jordan Love, that interception that Jordan Love threw, PJ Walk was on the other side of the field when that ball came out of Jordan Love's hands and he picked it off.
Can we talk about the fact that both the touchdown passes he threw in that game stunk from Love? That first one, he should have
Yeah,
led them to the back pylon. Instead, he threw it right into coverage, and he was lucky that he got reversed fail married. And then on the second one, it was a tip drill, like improbably into the guy's hands. It was not. It was
yeah,
crazy.
yeah, yeah. Both very fluky plays. I think that was a lot. I think the Broncos played a lot better than the. I think they pulled away from the Packers. A lot more than that game would reflect last week, but I think that was a matchup of two teams that are going to be pretty bad when we look back and close the book on this NFL season.
But do you think maybe the Broncos could make the Taylor Swift a little sad? Do you think Taylor's going to be there?
I you know it, I I'll have to check in with Paige on the Swifty rumor mill, but if that's starting to churn, they're usually right. So
Is your sister like begging, making sure she's going to this game so that way she might see Taylor?
yeah, I mean Abby I think wants to go. If the girls want to go, I think I might just give them the tickets, but we'll see. I don't know.
You're not going to go?
I it's just it's just gonna make me sad or mad, TG. It's the Chiefs, man. They own our soul.
Yeah, but I mean, you know, you got to have a little hope.
I
They're
have none,
trying
TG.
hard.
I have none, TG. This team
Give
has
credit to the
broken my
Broncos.
entire
They've tried
spirit.
very hard to be good again, and they just can't find the combination.
No, but I think they've been trying to cling to relevance ever since that last Super Bowl, when in reality they should have wiped the slate clean and started over 2 or 3 years ago.
Yeah.
Um,
Well,
it's just So I sometimes staying competitive is actually not a good idea in the NFL. Sometimes it's not a terrible idea to just take a year or two off from being competitive. But I know there are mixed feelings on that take.
whatever. Finally, I just want to get your opinion just 1 second on the Michigan thing. Um, my opinion on this. I think it's overblown. I think that any penalties they get should be pretty modest, should not get anything too harsh, because I think it's
I
all out in the public. It's not nothing. It's not like anyone who compares us to the Astros is crazy, because again, this is not like they went to like the practices and illegally taped them. This was in the middle of games. This happened, so this is
yeah,
just crazy.
yeah, I'm with you. It's like, everyone in the entirety of college football is stealing
And
signs.
by the way, there are
Why
definitely other schools that are doing exactly this. There's no question in my
abs-
mind.
Absolutely. Every team in college football is trying to steal signs. I'm with Dion too. You can know it's coming and you still gotta stop it.
Hmm.
Um and it like why should Michigan be punished because they're better at everyone else than doing it,
I
when
also
when
love
everyone else is doing it.
I love Connor Stallions. I love this guy. I like the cut of this guy's jib. I mean, a 550 to 600 page manifesto about the future of Michigan football. I mean, that's dedication right there. You told me that guy isn't like a Michigan man, the most Michigan man. I heard that he refused
He's
to go. He got accepted in Michigan and went to like Army or something like that to benefit Michigan football in some way in his big grand master plan to make Michigan football great. I mean, that's the most Michigan man thing I've ever heard in my entire life, saying I'm not going to go to the University of Michigan to be even to make Michigan better. That's pretty impressive to me.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, it's a whole the whole operation is pretty impressive. Did you see this thing that TCU actually knew about it going in, and
Yeah, that I think that part is
they
that.
faked a lot of their
So
signals?
they teams use dummy signs all the time.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So I mean that's one of those things where I feel like they're like, oh yeah, well we actually know. So we use these dummy signs. He went to the Naval Academy. That's it. He went to the Naval Academy.
Yeah, yeah, that's
He's a
right.
troop.
There's
Do you respect the troops?
of course I do, TG.
Do you
Don't
respect Connor Stallions?
don't come at me like this.
I'm
Don't you
asking.
come
No,
at me.
I'm not coming at you. I'm just asking.
Yeah, no, I think it's fucking awesome that Michigan is employing a guy with such a cool talent like that.
That is pretty impressive. You know, whoever wins the election next year should hire him as like some type of like intelligence guy. Just first, my thought. Who, you know what? If whoever wants to win Michigan could be close the next election. They should the maybe the campaign that says they're going to hire Connor Stallions will take it. So food for thought.
Yeah, yeah, I don't want to think about next year's election quite yet, but I know it's coming and that's terrifying. So
On that note, thank you all for watching and or listening to this wonderful podcast. That's Zach Lyons at Zach_Lyons24 on Twitter.
yep.
Yep.
You cut me off, TG. I was trying to talk to America there.
Talk to America.
I'm just messing around. I was just trying to pull that ref's dumbass quote from a couple weeks ago.
Oh yeah, I saw that. That was pretty funny. And then
I'm talking to America here.
and then I'm at Tommy SGHAN on all social media platforms, including TikTok. My TikToks are fire. You know that, Zach. And then
Absolutely.
follow at
Always, man.
Ice Cold SPRTS and go to Ice Cold Sports on YouTube and Apple Podcasts. I am Tommy Gann. That is Zach Lyons. Thank you all for watching and or listening. And this has been, say it, Zach.
Ice cold sports.
See you guys.